Welcome to this sharing by Nurture Your Soul. If you're new to the channel, there is so much here for you guys to tap into. Just a little bit about me and my journey. I am a person who lived 38 years with a victim mentality. Everything felt like it was happening to me versus for me for 38 years. The culmination of that experience built up until I was 38 years old and I committed suicide. I say committed because I was in fact dead. And yes, I had a near-death experience, as it is now coined. I have shared since 2008 about that experience, and I've shared not only what happened on that day, but what has happened since that day. To me, that's more impactful than the actual near-death experience. You see, my whole world shifted the day that I died. I wasn't the same person, but I returned to the same experiences I had just killed myself to escape from. Over the evolution of this time, my whole life has changed. I went from being a single mother to a mother of a graduate of college who's off living his perfect life. I went from being a suburban, living, domesticated, corporate job carrying person to having COVID and all of that just literally swiped the decks clean of my whole life. I moved into a tiny home on wheels, out onto some beautiful acreage, and I have continued to unravel since that time. These are my sharings. This is my journey. This is how I really live. Come join if this is something that aligns to you. And this is a day in the life, just the way it looks for me. Hopefully something within it, even if it's just the nature and the surroundings, will touch your heart today.
Me and my shadow strolling down the avenue. Me and my shadow.
What a beautiful morning it is. I decided to bring you guys out with me today. We're going to test out my brand new microphone to see if I can move away from the camera and just live and talk instead of sitting in front of it, because this feels more natural to me. And this is what I do in my mornings. So I thought I would bring you guys along today. It sure is a pretty one to wake up to and experience. I got to sleep in today, long weekend, and just woke up this morning with some deep experiences of appreciation for this shadow work that Kelly's been doing deeply and immensely for the last 3 years. I say 3 years because obviously I know there's no time or space, but this really began, as we've talked about in this series, probably a little bit before my sweet little doggy Milo left the planet. I shared recently about him and I going off on a journey over a 4th of July weekend to escape the fireworks. And it was one of the first times that my birth guide, Bernadette, really showed me how to start to ignore the 5 senses. I won't recap that because I did it in a previous video that's on this channel. But what I will say is that really began the evolution of looking at these thoughts even more intimately. I mean, I've been doing that since my near-death experience in 2008. But I would say the stage that was going on at that time was the deepest unraveling. The darkest shadows were coming to the surface because of all that inquiry that had been going on for so long, and now not having the responsibility in the human sense of my son who's off at college. I'm laughing because I still talk with my hands even when I'm doing this by myself. It's so funny. Gosh, the body is funny. Anyway, I just noticed that. The unraveling really was so connected, it feels like, to the release of so many things that I had felt responsible for outside of this story of Kelly. My son going off to college, and the realization when he was getting later into his degree that he was never coming home. You know, that home was no longer the sensation of us living under the same roof. He's an adult now. He's an engineer now. He's got his own life and his own exploration to start. And of course, I'm thrilled about that. But there's still a human grief that happens. Combine that with several losses that Kelly's had over the last 3 years. Her best friend's husband passed away. Her dog passed away. And then the most recent one, her father passed away. All of these seeming states and stages along this journey have led to this now moment. Each of them was necessary to be right here in the fullness and wholeness of exploration. The mom version of me would have gotten up in the past and been so dedicated to making those meals and packing the lunch and, you know, the things that you thing. And the same with Milo, being sure that he had the things that he needed to thing. And moving into this tiny home on this acreage away from everything and everyone has afforded this opportunity when I'm not peopling to turn everything off, put everything away and just be here when I can. Now I recognize the person watching this might say, well, I still have my children and a husband and a dog and the things, and I get that. As I say on this channel all the time, I can only experientially share my journey. I'm not trying to guide you on yours. If something here lands for you in this, that's fabulous. And if not, let it pass you by. A big part of this for me is not only capturing these little journeys for my vlog, but there will come a day where this story of Kelly may not be here. And I may, who knows, have grandchildren. My son may grow up to be a father. And these videos may bring someone some connection to knowing who I was. And I'm okay with that. So that's why I continue to just share in this way, sometimes personally, as I'm doing this morning. I love the birds when they fly over in curiosity. And sometimes just in generic videos, because some of this stuff is too personal to share. And honestly, it has to be your experiential journey. I'm not here writing a guidebook for anyone because I know we each get the exact expression of this that we need. Now that's a good cup of coffee. I say that every single morning, but it's true. It's the best cup of coffee I've had. This morning I shared a very triggering post, and I didn't share it for anyone but myself. They were all aspects, archetypes, fractals of the story of Kelly, all the ones that I've been pointing out there at them over and over and over. Oh, how lost I was. And I will be yet again, with no doubt. That is one thing I can assure you. This is never done. Those archetypes, those aspects, they will arise again. And that's okay. None of them will be pushed away. They will all be welcomed here. I'm somewhat hoping the deer will come up while I'm talking to you guys, just so that you get to see how beautiful they enter the property. There's just a sense of majesty about the way they streak in. And they're as curious about me as I am about them. Until they start eating, and then I think they're like, why is this lady watching us again? But as always, I digress. What I have found, and what Bernadette has been working with me on, that has been the most profound, is recognizing that duality is just something to be embraced. And for so many years, I resisted that. I thought there was going to be this doing away with duality, and that's not the case at all. And that idea or concept was what kept the seeker seeking. But an interesting little nugget came through the other night as I was falling asleep and doing my daily kind of review of how the day went, how I interacted with others, connecting with their higher self, and cleaning anything up that I felt was mine to clean up, and really getting honest and radically true with myself again about my own bullshit. There's been some tremendous changes going on for all of us. The rapid nature with which things are returning to us in this dream state is so real time now. We simply can't ignore it, although we will try. My 2 mourning doves just landed nearby. Love them. They're messengers from heaven, and I don't look at that as anything more than my blessing that I called forward in this moment through these seeds of beautiful understanding that this exact moment is happening for me. I feel honored to know that, because I didn't for a very, very long time. Sorry, I got lost in the movements of their feathers. Oh, we've got some little baby squirrels coming up now. The whole family's waking up. Good morning. So, in the discussions with Bernadette the other night as I was doing my reflections and cleanup, I was very aware that there was some anger and fear, but there was nothing that I could find, no exchange with another, nothing that had happened in that day. So I decided to just invite it up and out to show me versus me trying to find it. I got still. I began to do some somatic hip movement to loosen things up, which I do. I'm doing it right now. And then I just started to loosen the breath, the neck, the whole body. Hi, sweetie. Aren't you beautiful? Gosh, we have such a variety of birds now. So as I began to do those somatic movements and really focus on the anger and the fear and not trying to connect it to a thing or a person, I just said, okay, sweet ones, come into the space. Join us today like a blanket, and I will wrap you around me and bring you on the journey. And so that is what I did. The previous 2 videos on this channel speak to that, looking at the shadows, recognizing they're alive in Kelly, creating the exact experience. So, as that happened, and I became more connected to that. Oh, listen, the doves are going to play beautiful songs for us. What I recognized was that I didn't need to understand any of it, of course. I just needed to give it space. It was ready to let go. And then Bernadette entered with this. When you're in your sleep state and you are unconscious, you are the closest to your truth. And that is when all the cleanup activities and all the things that you have ingested in your mental diet are able to unravel. But there's a symbiotic relationship in this unraveling process, in that there must be an understanding that more space will be needed and not to refill that space when this old energy lets go. And by the way, that new feeling may represent to you or feel similar to fear, grief, sadness, anxiety, depression. That's not what's going on, though. What's going on is emptiness. And we want to name it. We, being the ego and the archetypes that are here. We want to call it fear. We want to call it grief, anger, so that it can be digested back down again and not looked at. But if unlabeled and unnamed, we simply give it so much grace by being the one willing to hold the grit while that settles down and takes seed so that it can root and form your new crops. Now, Bernadette took this even further, and this again blew my mind. Honestly, everything that comes through blows my mind. But this, whoosh. The doves are very curious about the tripod. We might have it tipped over. We'll see. Those are some of my famous and favorite nature videos when someone takes their camera equipment out into the nature and one of the critters jumps up and looks in or tips it over and takes over. It's just such a natural process of life, really. But again, see how those thoughts take over. So Bernadette was saying to me, what if the yin attracted the yang, and there's nothing labeling either, and they walked each other home without any labeling of that either, and that transmuted into wholeness for that archetype. So let's take it further. Fear arose and anger arose for Kelly on this morning over the long weekend. She couldn't identify any of it with an experience or a particular person. In fact, she felt very good about those things. So what was this arising for? And instantly, nothing and no one. Perfect. Then what is to be done with it? Nothing and nothing. Perfect. Invite it to dance. Now, in that dance, she was able to see the polarity. She could see anger, but now she also saw joy. And they were holding hands, walking towards her and into her heart. And in that instance, there was this immense heartgasm where the complete transmutation of that became wholeness, and it felt wholesome. Oh, Chippendale, how you leap. I can only giggle. If you guys can't see how nature is just vibing around this, an orchestra of these tones coming out that we call words, which are merely just vibrations. Atoms and molecules and all of these things reverberating around this creates this orchestra, and I'm a part of that, and so are you. So when I think that fear or anger or resentment or judgment or love or joy or any of those things or something out there, I'm going to keep going to find it. But when I recognize that all of it, hi little one, hi, that all of it is me expressing me, that feels truer to my heart. Now, for those of you on the channel who are all about manifesting, you might have just missed a key that was in this video. So we're going to back it up and we're going to point to that. We want to know how to manifest in this dreamscape. We want to call forward these beautiful expressions. And when we know them, we want them to deepen. I live a joyous life, but I welcome more of that, of course. Don't we all? I live a loving life, but I would love more of that. Wouldn't we all? Well, you just heard how to have that. Because until that love and its opposite come together and aren't labeled, until that happens, it can't expand. It can't be known any more intimately or any more deeply. There's just no room for that to land because the inquirer is so busy in the background taking up that space. And we've already determined all of this is energy. All of this is vibration. All of this is a frequency. And we are all a part of that. This is boundless. We are boundless. The only thing that limits that is the mind. And it will keep showing up because it's not here to harm us. It's ready for us to look at it differently and to meet it differently. So that's what we've been doing here. When we have this time to disconnect and really be with this. Now again, I get that not everyone can have this morning every day, and it's not that you must. Kelly doesn't get to do this every day either. Oh, you get off that house, you naughty little man. There's a limit to what the critters are allowed to do. It's time to spray the peppermint oil around the outside and under the tiny. It's just a loving little reminder to them that you're welcome here, but there are some boundaries. They're loving. I'll come out and I'll join you. I'm not afraid of you, but I don't want you in the house. That's my space. And we respect each other in nature. There's a symbiotic understanding, just as I would not go up to their nest and try to handhold one of their babies or even hand feed any of these guys. Most of them would allow me to at this stage, but that's just not something I would do to them. I've had a few birds, when I've been putting the seed in the feed, come right up and eat it out of my hand, but I have never forced that upon any of them. looking at and understanding our archetypes and getting really radically honest with our bullshit is the only way to empty this mind of all of its minding. Then and only then are we mindful versus being mindfuls. But this isn't a one and done. Not at all. Along this journey, there will appear to be these various things we call stages. Just like watching a caterpillar metamorphosize into that beautiful butterfly. So pay less attention to the stage that you seem to be at and more attention to the state of this now moment is what Bernadette is asking us to do. Now remember, she's lived in a physical body. She's had this expression and experience of being humaned. It just has become impossible for me, Kelly, to trust any of this 3D as much as I trust this internal guidance now. And I now recognize that everything that's showing up in this 3D is in fact my seeds being sown for me to see how my crops are doing. Now I can start to go out there and weed on them, on that, on the experience. Or I can get very still and cultivate that weed right here. Trim it back. Put some nutrients on it. Speak gently to it and remind it that it is perfect, whole, and complete, and that anything that it thinks that it's not, I will soak in it today. I'll wrap myself around it. I'll immerse myself with it, and I'll just be with it today. If it's anger, then I'm bringing joy. And we're all going on a ride. If it's sadness, then it's happiness. And we're all coming on the hammock. If it's fear, then it's promise and faith. And we're all going on a hike. And when we come home, there's just emptiness. This is how I live now. This is the journey. And those who are on the journey with me know it. They know that I disappear into what we call my bubble. The phone gets turned off. There's no electronics. And we move into that space of being so present for this one right here. And we remind ourselves, gosh, this brings up tears every time, how much this beautiful one has done for us. Just as I'm saying this, shame wants to come up. Guilt wants to come up for what this one has carried on her shoulders. But I know those aren't true. Shame and judgment, anger and resentment. They just aren't true anymore. So their dualistic twin will be wrapped around us today. And this one will be loved and rocked. She will be shown the gratitude for all the times she carried that fear all alone. She carried that grief all alone. She carried that weight all alone. She will be loved. Gosh, does she deserve to be loved? What a powerful creature we are. The symbiotic relationship is being met with so much radical honesty. And this is not easy work, you guys. Gosh, this wants to them, that, all day. Some of the slipperiest of slopes is the one that has seen through the illusion and then wants everyone to know they've seen through it. Kelly has all of these t-shirts. I'm no longer embarrassed to say that. Those were stages that led to this state. They had to happen. But if I continue to want to immerse in the deepness of this love of which I am, I will not let that guilt, shame, or embarrassment take seed here. I just won't. There is such an earnest faith to keep going in this and to keep being so radically honest that it has never been about a them and it has never been about an experience. And if that's still arising here, we will sit down and we will be with that. It isn't clean, this thing that we have to do or appear to have to do, but it is the most rewarding thing that we can gift ourselves in the world. There's this beautiful spray of sunshine coming down through the trees right now. And there's a spider web right above it. And the light is hitting the web just perfectly so that I can see some fractaled rainbows on it. But I don't want to get up and move the camera because this is so beautiful. I just want to be with it. But I'd like to see it, so I'm going to put my glasses on. I know that this can be hard, you guys. I don't ever want my videos to depict somebody that lives in rainbows and sunshines. I love my life. I was telling someone this the other day. I love this journey. I love being alive in this body. But when this comes to an end, I will go as rapidly and graciously as I am called home. And when I say home, I'm not talking about a place. You guys know that. I hope that this lands in your heart. I hope that sharing in this way reminds you to remember what you two are. Drop the blame game, you guys. Give everybody the freedom to know that they have never harmed you. They've never hurt you. They've never deceived you or abandoned you. Love them where they are on their journey. Even if you can't sit at the same table with them and have a meal, or wrap your arms around them and tell them how much you love them, you just did that by thinking of them and sending them so much love. Gosh, I do this every morning to the ones that have left the body, to the ones that have exited my story. I have no ill will, and I have no closed doors here. I just have an absolute faith that this deserves all of my attention, and whatever arises here with this will come on its own, and it will equally transmute on its own when it is time. There's no more chasing or seeking, although that arises or attempts to. And there's no more resistance or attachment, although that arises. There's just a noticing of those expressions, and then an immediate invitation to come along for the day, because that is what is being called here. Sending you so much love. Breathe and don't resist. Open your heart to yourself. And if you feel aligned to just a little bit of direct pointing and working with me on that, reach out. I tell you guys, everything on this channel is free. It is. All these videos, all of these posts, all of these sharings for so many years. I've never set my page up to force people to buy memberships. I've never published a book to force people to have to pay to have it. It just has never felt connected here in the story of Kelly. But the work that I do one-on-one, I feel absolutely at peace with the fact that I do charge for that, because that is my work. It's my life work. These stages and these states along this path have not been easy, but they are my experiential journey, and if something about that assists you along yours, reach out to me. I will do my best to help. But I won't sit in front of you, and I won't hold space for you. I will sit beside you and hold space with you. And if that seems to settle in your heart, then it might be the perfect match. Much love. Until next time. And so it is. All right, my beautiful ones, time for me to start this day.
Me and my shadow strolling down the to tell our troubles too. But when it's 12 o'clock, we climb